Hi everybody, it's Carrie and welcome back to another video. And guess what, guys? Today I had a epiphany. I was like, I have this tripod that you guys can see that I actually purchased for my iPhone because I was trying to do a few more like videos on my iPhone and everything. And I do some, but it's also like sometimes I don't have the motivation to set up the tripod. And then guys, I can't believe I finally realized this today as I got out of the shower. I was like, you know what? I wonder if I could use this tripod with my video camera and not necessarily my phone, because the tripod that I typically use, I don't have it near me, it's over there, but it's like more of what I would consider like a vlogging tripod. So it's pretty small and like very handheld, but it's not really good if I want to get like different angles or like up high. And look at this, guys, the epiphany to use this and figure it out, because now look, we're in a totally different area of my room because we can be. I can do like different angles in different parts of my room, so y'all don't just see like me in front of my like desk and everything, which is, I mean, I guess fun, I don't know. But I can get a little bit different angles, which it only took me like, I don't even know how long to have this sudden epiphany. Like, don't ask me what took so long. But if you guys don't know, I am actually going to be attempting to do Vlogmas, which it's really funny because I've heard of it before and everything, but a lot of people, like content creators I follow, either don't do it, or there's quite a few like small businesses that do it, but they like pre-plan content so early in the year. Like they did a lot of like filming and stuff for like this a month ago or something. It's December 1st and I am just now starting to film content. Luckily I have written down some ideas and everything for content, but if you guys have any other like things you want to personally see, let me know, because of course it's like one of those things that since I'm recording this as the days kind of pass, potentially bulk recording. So if you guys see me wearing the same clothes, you didn't see that. But I am kind of recording as I go. I am gonna have, I think, like one at least crochet with me video, or like I'm gonna still do the vlogs, and I'm gonna have a what I crochet in a week, which is gonna be including like everything before the market. It's like the Lilo and Stitch, those type of things, or the head wig or whatever. So that's still gonna come out. I'm just still editing it. And versus, I think these Christmas vlogs, because I'm gonna be putting them up like at such a high frequency, I'm gonna do this more relaxed editing style. So I apologize for that. Until I can have the income to pay an editor, we're gonna keep the editing a little bit more simple for my sake. I hope you guys like the content. I hope you guys like seeing me in front of a video and maybe not so much the fancy editing, because it's just really difficult for me to do with everything I have going on at this present moment. If you guys have any ideas, just let me know, because like I said, I'm going to be recording this as I go. I have written down, like, I'm going to do one video I think towards the end of the month, like my 2025 plans for this business, hopefully looking into like next year and everything. And then I also have a few things regarding like the stores. So I'm going to do a question and answer video about the stores. I think I have some questions that I have found in previous videos, but if you have any questions there, all that fun stuff. So if you guys want to see something specific, let me know. We're gonna try and do this. Technically, this video is gonna be like day 2 of this Vlogmas thing, but some content is actually just older content because I haven't had like the time to edit it and post it, just given the fact that so much has happened. I already mentioned like we had to put a horse down this past week. I've got a new horse coming in this upcoming weekend. I ended up going to a football game yesterday. Clemson lost. I got sick on the way home. That put me out like the rest of the night. And then sadly I'm not gonna have many like what I crocheted in a week videos coming up, because I have drastically like cut back on producing so much crochet stuff. I've been doing a lot of customs, and they're all like harder customs in regards that it's like a lot of sewing and stuff. So like the amount of product I'm making is not that much, which is kind of like a shock to me. I'm always like, oh, I go from making like 15 items a day to like maybe one if I'm lucky, just also with how timing has worked out recently. I wanted to go over today, and that is why we are part of this magical thing right here, is basically what acrylic type of yarn I use. I've gotten asked before about the yarn that I use for like my plushies. I'm gonna have that in a separate video just because I've recently purchased a few different types of yarn. Like I just recently purchased the Hobby like Honey Bunny, I think, for the first time. You know, I've got the Premier, I've got the Sweet Snuggles Light, the Chanel Home Slim, I've got the Burnett. I got like a few things, like what is it, like Yarn Bee or something. So I've got all those different types of things, and oh, and Posh, I forgot about Posh. But I'm gonna have a video separate to this one in regards to that, just because I feel like it's a totally separate thing. But today's video is gonna be about acrylic yarn. I get asked a good deal about acrylic yarn. Now I'm gonna say, with my flowers, if I was consistently doing flowers, I definitely think I would be looking a little bit more into like a milk cotton. But flowers are really not a main focus for my business. Like this past market I did in November, I don't even think I sold a single flower. Now granted, my flowers were pretty slim just because I had zero time to make any new flowers before this market. But they were pretty slim, like not a ton. But I found that, you know, now as we're getting into like the colder months and everything, my flowers aren't selling as well. Even the last like 2 markets, I didn't really sell many flowers at all. And since flowers not like a big part of my business, I think I'll probably just always keep them. Or if I was doing like a market and it was around like Valentine's Day, or if it was around like Mother's Day, like I had one last year, I probably would make a ton of flowers. But it's not really a focus, and as my business potentially changes next year, I don't really see that part of it changing. So I do use acrylic yarn for my flowers. A lot of people that you'll find that do like flowers mainly, or do like a lot with the flowers, I think they tend to use cotton or like milk cotton. I don't particularly have experience with that because I don't go out of my way to buy that yarn per se, just because I don't really use it that much. When I first started crocheting, I mainly only used acrylic yarn because it was cheaper. That was the big thing. I didn't know if I was going to keep doing crochet, so acrylic yarn was definitely my way to go. And then what I ended up doing is I went to Michael's, Joann's, and I don't think Hobby Lobby, but I know I went to Michael's and Joann's, and I just like raided the discount areas. That's what I did when I first started out. I would get all my yarn from the discount sections, just because, like I said, I wasn't 100% certain if I was even gonna be doing this. Like, truly had zero intention to ever crochet or to be doing this a year later and turning it hopefully into more of a business going into next year if I can figure my stuff out. But I truly had no intention, so I was just buying cheap. So there were a few brands that I tried that I just like really, when I first started, I was like, oh, is this how it's supposed to be? And then now as I've kind of continued on, I'm like, okay, acrylic yarn, it doesn't have to be horrible. Some of those brands I got were like, ugh. I don't have it in front of me. Like, I set aside 3 yarns that I'm going to show you guys that I normally use. But like, I started out using the Michael's acrylic. I do not like that stuff. Don't even waste your money on it. I can't remember the brand off the top of my head. It might still be under Loops and Threads. Can't remember, like Craft Smart. I don't like Blackheart. My opinion with those yarns has just always been that they can be really stiff and really rough. Like, I'm gonna show you guys my finger. It's my middle finger, but don't be like offended. Let's see. Like, I don't know if you can tell on the screen, my middle finger is actually like peeling and like it's been breaking. I've been putting a ton of conditioning stuff on it and wrapping it, but from using the acrylic yarn and from using a acrylic yarn from Michael's, because I ran out of the black that I normally use, it was cutting into my fingers. So I'm finally getting it like to be a little bit more in control, but it still like is very tender to touch and everything. So I'm not a fan of those. It's really rough, it's really stiff, it squeaks a lot when you crochet with it, like audibly squeaks, and it's not as smooth on the hook, I found, and I just don't like it. And I have so much of it, guys. Like, a lot of these yarns are accumulation of yarns that I like use and don't use, and that's the problem. My bottom row of this stuff contains like a lot of these variegated acrylic yarns, and it's catch-22 because honestly what I end up doing is like these yarns or any of the yarns that I don't particularly use, I just end up putting them aside, and then that's the yarn that I use for tagging items for markets, tagging items for stores, so it's not going to waste, but it's definitely not yarn that I would use. And just like I would say with Chanel yarn, you can have acrylic yarn that is the same size and it won't be the same thickness. It's the same thing with like Chanel, where you have like Parfait is a 6 and Sweet Snuggles is a 6, or Sweet Snuggles Light is a 6. They're just not the same. I have found the same to be the true with acrylic. So some of my acrylic is also just significantly thinner than other acrylics. So that's something to consider. And now I primarily buy from one brand and it's pretty consistent, so I don't have to worry about it. So like I said, I don't think it's worth spending money on the big twist acrylic yarn either. My experience with that is it pulls apart a lot and it's really easy for it to like separate, so I don't typically use that yarn. I don't use the Michaels yarn anymore. I really like, there's one brand in particular that I just like absolutely love, and that's my go-to acrylic yarn unless I have to use a different one, but I typically don't because the color selection is just like phenomenal. Like if we had a Chanel yarn with the color varieties that this acrylic yarn uses, guys, I feel like we would all be like unstoppable with what we could make, because I feel like they literally have every single color. So let me show you guys two of the other yarns brands that I tend to use. So this is the first one. It is called Skein Tones, and primarily the reason that I use this is when I do horses or other animals, they do have a lot of varieties of browns. Like I've got one over there, and then one of the horses I'm using it on right now is a little bit of a lighter brown, kind of warmer opposed to dark, like super dark and everything. So it's perfect because it kind of reminds me of cinnamon a little bit more, and it's not dark. It's got more, I guess, color tones to it. So I do buy this yarn in particular for like my animals and stuff, because I do find that they have so many varieties of brown. And then I guess I would probably say if you were looking to do like dolls or something where you're having more skin tone colors, this would of course also be really good for that, because they do have so many a variety of shades. So this is one that I typically use for like certain animals, horses in particular. And it's pretty smooth, it's pretty good. I guess you could say it might be a little bit thinner than some of the other ones, but I still use this with the main yarn that I use, and I don't really have a big problem with it. Next one I have right here is, this is from Yarn B. This is Yarn ID, and this color I believe is Fawn. Now my experience has only ever been with this color from this brand. I know they have a lot of other colors, but I used this a lot when I was doing my acrylic capybaras. And then I also just like the fact that it is more of like a warmer tone. So a lot of times when I do like feet on horses, hooves, if I have to do any type of horn, like more natural things, I do tend to gravitate towards this. It's very soft. I don't typically have problems with it like separating or anything when I'm crocheting. And I just like the color of it, and I'm trying to think, I can't remember if this is a little bit more, I think, expensive than your generic like acrylic yarn, but I do like it a lot. And like I said, I typically only use it for certain things, but I'm not the biggest Yarn Bee lover in terms of their Chanel yarns, but I do definitely prefer this over any of their Chanels. And the yarn that I primarily use that's acrylic is, I love this yarn. I don't particularly usually shop at Hobby Lobby, but I will go there for this yarn in particular. I think if you're doing acrylic yarn, there literally is not like a better acrylic yarn that you can get at a store besides this, in my opinion. There are so many shades. Like when I go to Hobby Lobby, they have like a whole wall, and it's just so much yarn. It is always in stock for me at my Hobby Lobbies. I don't know if that's different other places, but it's always in stock. It's stocked super well. They have so many colors. My only issue I've ever had is just because I use so many different varieties and shades of browns that maybe like the browns are a little bit lacking, but even then I think there's like 4 or 5. And since I do a lot of horses and I do a lot of chestnuts, this is like the perfect colorway for me for chestnuts. So I go through this a lot, but they have lots of varieties of like pinks. They have a light pink that I use on noses a lot of times. This is the pink that I typically use for like my pink roses. And they have tons of reds, and then they have lots of like whites, creams, blues, purples. I mean, a good deal. Like when I do my flowers and stuff, I use their greens, and they have multiple colors of greens too if you wanted a different one. But this definitely is like my go-to acrylic one. Super soft, it doesn't cut my fingers. I've never had problems with squeaking. It doesn't really pull apart or anything, so I don't really have problems with it like splitting for whatever reason. Like I said, the color variety is just like spectacular. One of these, which is quite hefty and it can last you a while, like I'm trying to think, I think one skein of this I've made like 3 or 4 horses out of, but it is $4.99, so it is cheaper compared to the Yarn ID, and you get a lot more yarn in comparison for your skeins. And I just love this stuff. Like I said, I'm not a huge Hobby Lobby person at all, but I'll only go there for this yarn, and I stock up on blacks, whites. Like I was just there the other day and I think I got like 10 of them. And if you plan it right, I don't know how Hobby Lobby does their sales. I know they do it like different than Michael's and stuff. But if you plan it right, you can kind of go when they do like discounts. So it's even better. I think I bought like 10 or 15 the other day and walked out of there spending like, I don't know, $40. And that was with 2 crochet hooks and something else on top of it. So I love this yarn, definitely has my vote. They also have cotton and like a few other things. I don't particularly use them just because, like I said, I don't really use cotton that much, but I would assume it's just as good as quality as this because I felt it and it's pretty soft. But this is definitely my pick if you're starting out or you want to do more of the acrylic. This is what you need to use. And I'll show you 2 horses really quickly. So this is a horse that I just finished up the other day that is in the I Love This yarn. So I used like more of their chocolate brown here, a tan, white, black, and super cute. And this one is not done, but I wanted to show you guys it. I have this chestnut right here, and this is also primarily all in the I Love This yarn as well, especially in that color that I showed you guys just a minute ago. This is the chestnut. So guys, that's everything I have today. These are 2 customs that I'm doing for Christmas. I guess because I'm not really posting that much about like what I crocheted in a week. These are 2 customs that I'm doing, and as well they are made in the I Love This yarn. So the quality is super good. I use it for all my customs when it comes to acrylic work, and I have absolutely nothing bad about it to say, except I wish maybe you could get it online easier and it wasn't just at Hobby Lobby. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I hope to see you guys for the rest of the month. And let me know, like I said, if you guys have anything you want to see in particular or anything really. I'm not quite certain how these vlogs are going to be structured, and I might miss a day or 2, but I am going to try and push myself to actually do it because I feel like it'd be good for me. And I kind of am somebody who works better under pressure and has like a constant like boom boom, you gotta do this, opposed to somebody who feels like they have like all the time in the world. It just doesn't really work for me that much. So I hope you guys have been having a great little holiday. I guess we just had Thanksgiving, and then I hope you guys also have been having good markets if you've been doing markets, and I hope to see you guys in the next video. Bye!